What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in once again. Keep crushing it. Just remember, life is a journey, and it's really just about the decisions we make in the situations that we're in. Life is just an accumulation of situations and decisions made over time, and it's really us to figure out what's driving our decisions and how do we change the things or those decisions or those actions when we are not happy with the outcomes in those particular situations. Okay, this one should be rather quick, but I feel like sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit and say good job, Wilson, or fill in your name at the blank, at the beep. So I think there's two things. It's one, acknowledgement for yourself and other people, and then also just reinforcing some positive thoughts in your head, right? Obviously, this is kind of like what we talked about in the Negative Nancy episode, but I feel like there's moments where we're just, trying to make this thing happen or trying to make life happen and all this stuff, and we don't get a moment to ourselves to just say, you know what, hey, based on everything that you've gone through and the things that you're going through, great job. You're doing a good stuff. You're doing a good job. And just acknowledge yourself, giving yourself a little love. I think that's the message for this one, is just give yourself a little love. Shit can get tough. Shit can be great. Shit can be awesome. And sometimes even then, like when you're awesome, like you're feeling good, but do you actually thank yourself or tell yourself like, hey, great fucking job, man. So that's one. And then also I think the next thing is identifying like, so here's what I've identified to in for myself. And I think it's identifying the things that you are awesome and then you are great at, and that you're not so great at, and that maybe you don't really want to fucking be that great at because it's just something that you don't want to do, right? So for me, I've realized that I'm definitely great at, for me, my own personal like visions, or like I can see how things should work and how things should be connected. I'm not going to necessarily go and make all those things happen because I feel like I don't want to do that, right? Like for me, I'm good at that, or I'm good at like analytical thinking, or I'm good at like seeing things and then understanding what maybe a pattern is coming, or like I have that perspective ability to like think that way. And then the human emotion thing, I feel like my emotional intelligence is through the fucking roof, right? So those are the couple things that I've realized that I need to double down on in terms of whatever the fuck I'm doing. And then the goal should be for me to keep doubling down on those things, being truthful with people in terms of like, yo, that's something that I can do. I can do this, but I'm going to tell you right now, like if you're asking me to do X, Y, and Z, that shit ain't going to happen, because like I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to be the greatest at it. I'm not going to be the best at it. And I'm probably not going to pat myself on the back if the job or the task or the situation is that what you're asking of. Right. And I've realized that I'm realizing more and more of that, as well as like the team effort of like, finding the people or finding other, homies that are good at these things, and then collaborating with it. Collaborating with people, whether it doesn't even have to be work. Like, it could be like a dinner party or something, some sort of situation that things need to get done. Or even just like in conversation or like in a relationship. In a relationship, I feel like there's certain things that I'm good at, and there's some things that Patty's good at. And it's like understanding how we work well together in terms of like, okay, yeah, I am, I'm great at this, so I'm going to keep rocking this out in the relationship, and you're really great at that, and then we'll meet somewhere in the middle for the things that like, maybe together we're great at, and so I feel like that's another perspective thing. And it could be for work, right? So for work, same thing. If you work at a job or you run a business, like what are those things that you're fucking great at, and not be afraid to double down and maybe speak to mind to, whether you have a boss, a manager, a teammate, a partner, like, hey, like I just realized like I shouldn't be doing this, because of X, Y, and Z. And I don't think that this is the best. This is where I am the best at, and then be able to provide, and then be able to double down on the things that you do, So I feel like that's something that I'm understanding more and more now. in terms of like, okay, and then seeking, like for me, it's seeking other avenues, right? So if I know and I identify this, what are different avenues or platforms that I can actually double down and be even greater in? So like even something like this, a podcast, like I feel like this is like part of the emotional intelligence, right? And so that's why I continue doing it, and because of the positive reinforcement, which I appreciate from you guys listening and continuing to hear that stuff. So yeah, so I would say this one's gonna be a little shorter, but those are the couple things. One, give yourself a fucking pat on the back from time to time. You're driving in the car, adjust the mirror, kind of like in the movies when you're looking at, the person's looking at themselves in the car, and say, you know what, great job, you're doing a good job, and just keep fucking crushing it, keep going. And then two, give yourself some time to really prospectively think about what is it that you're actually very good at, you're great at. Double down on those things, and then be honest with yourself on the things that you're not, and either find someone to help you be that or accomplish those things, and or work towards it. But I honestly, I feel like, I think for me, right, in my own personal situation, it's like I've realized like what I'm good at, and then I'm looking for platforms in terms of where I can continue to like double down and be great at it. And I think that's kind of like the example would be like, when we're young, we're like, all right, we're gonna go get a job in this. Like for example, become a lawyer. And that was my example. Like everyone was like, hey, you should become a lawyer because like, you're really good at speaking and communicating with other people and things like that. And I probably would have been a good lawyer. Like I probably would have been actually real good because I like doing the research. Like if I really, like I love doing that. It's weird. I love doing research. Maybe it's not weird, but it's just what I'm good at, right? Like I do all my research on cameras. I spend hours on figuring out what lenses, I do the research on that when it comes to video. I do the research on, a bunch of different things that I'm interested in. I don't mind doing that work of reading and finding out and exploring and doing the research. So I think being a lawyer I would have been very successful being a lawyer. However, I think there was an emotional difference of man, I don't know if I could do this because if I had a case on Monday, then I wouldn't be able to hang out with my friends and do. At that time when I made my decision was football Sundays where everyone would get together, you eat, you hang out, you have a good time, and that's what drove my decision, right? Those were my influence at the time that drove my decision. That I was like, you know what? I don't think law is the thing for me. As well as talking to other lawyers, and they were like, yo, the money's great, but my time is fucking not so great because I'm always working. And I just realized that wasn't what I wanted to do or do. So even though I probably would have been a good lawyer, I think I made a good decision. And then, I've always been the entrepreneur in terms of, I think money was always a driver for that. Like, hey, business is the way to go, being your own boss. Like nobody telling you, you can find it, you can figure out, you can do it, da-da-da. That was a big driver. And then now realizing, obviously the video production stuff I think that's connected to the emotional side of me where I can tell other people's stories. That's why I feel like my edits are actually very good edits. And I've had people also give me positive feedback on the edits. There's just, I can understand the viewer, the person talking in the video, and I can understand what the person needs to see in order to reinforce the vocabulary or the audio. So I think those are the things that I'm really good at. And in these certain platforms and situations that I've decided to be part of, that's what I'm really good at. Right. So, but there's, in business, there's so many fucking hats that you can't be great at everything. And so, either find a business that you don't need to wear so many hats, or find a platform that you don't have to do so many things, but you still can double down on it and do really well in it. Yeah. And, or, even if it's not business, maybe it's outside, outside sports and hobbies and things like that. Like, what are you really fucking good at? It really, again, the point is, what are you really good at? And then what are the platforms or what are the things that you can go and do to live better, have more time for yourself, or, be more financially well off, but something that you enjoy, right? Something that you enjoy and then you're doing, not forcing yourself. So I guess the point is going to get a job because it's making you a lot of money, but you're just not either good at it, or you don't have the passion, or maybe you're not making a lot of money, whatever it is, but you're just this is what I think I want to get into, but we're just sort of making this decision on not a lot of information or precedent, not really giving yourself enough, thoughts in terms of like, okay, where am I really good at? And maybe even go up to a boss, be like, hey boss, I think you got me in the wrong position. Here's what wouldn't you agree that I'm actually really good at this, and this? So like, why wouldn't I be put in this position or on this project? Because it seems like this project or this position would, I would fucking double down and excel in it. And you'd fucking probably give me a raise or something. And whether it's a boss or whatever situation, fill in the blank. But I feel like those are the things, give yourself enough love, pat yourself on the back, good job. And then really figure out what are you fucking most passionate about? What are you really great at? And then put yourself in those situations, and then everything else that you're not or you don't want to deal, like, collaborate. All right, homies, thanks so much. I appreciate you guys. Keep crushing it. And don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Please share any of these, or please share, your favorite one, and we'll keep crushing it. We'll keep, this is a forever thing. This is a forever thing. Just like today, last little tidbit, I got an email. I don't know, for most people, like, if you don't know this, the nothing changes until you do brand. So on a shirt, on any sort of clothing or apparel, like, that is a trademark. And today, today after so many years, you have to like re-trademark it. And they emailed me. They're like, hey, we got something coming up this year. We just want to know if this is still like a thing. And I sent them back an email. I said, this is a forever thing. So yes, please go ahead and file it. So just know that this is going to be a forever thing. I'm always going to be doing this. And I've realized, like, the point to today's podcast is this is one of the things I'm great at. And I know that I am, right? Like, it's not anywhere, you can take it however you want to fucking take it. I know that this is something that I'm really good at, and speaking with people, for people, and at some point in front of people. So I look forward to that as well. All right, go crush it today. Go do your damn thing. Be conscious, be here, be present in the moment. And don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace.